Sanskrit, as we a little bit discussed last week, the language itself sounds like it doesn't have a name. It has like an artificial name. It is not related to the name. Sanskritam is not related to any religion or community or a region or a country, right? So Sanskritam, the name itself is synthesized, right? Artificial, or something given, or we can say it has earned its name. And Sanskritam means well made or very well processed. So last week in the post class email, I had sent you a kind of homework to find out what is Sanskritam and what is Shiksha. So probably some of you at least might have looked into the dictionary, this word called Sanskritam, you might have found this well made, well processed. Right? So that means we are not saying that it's a like any other English language which belongs to England, or Hindi language which belongs to Hindustan, right? And many other regional languages are there. So, but this is a name which was made up, or this language earned its name called Sanskritam because it is based on a very well formed structures. What kind of structures? Linguistic structures. And it places as part of its linguistic structure, it places a lot of importance on pronunciation, how to pronounce. And obviously every language has its own pronunciation. Without pronunciation, a language is not a language. Right? So, so I have a couple of questions here. So before we go forward, these are very fundamental questions. Right? So why do we need a language? Why do we need a language? And what is a language, and why do we need a language? So anybody, if they want to talk, they can talk, unmute themselves and talk, or they can raise their hands if there are multiple people. Lakshmikant.
Sir, can I explain?
To communicate with the society or with each other.
Yeah. Karta Mohoday.
Language is something that it's a media to communicate to each other, whether it is by politics or by it is action, whatever it is a language. So it is more or less it is a media of communication.
Yeah. Good. I think Petra, am I saying it right? Petra,
First of all, I wanted to ask how do we raise hands, maybe in the chat. The language started when we raised our throat from the ground upwards. And when we started to need a means of doing things together, because if we think that if you don't have a way to call a thing or to call somebody, even with his name, there is no way that you could ask somebody for help, for assistance, or doing something together. So it's a communication, but it's much more than this. Because without it, we have no way to express what we have inside.
Yeah, thank you. So what is your first thing you said? Something about writing?
No, how do we raise hands in the session? You said raise your hand, but how do we raise hand?
Oh, raise hand. I think.
Because you said raise your hand, and it's not.
Right at the.
Mahodaya?
Yeah.
Bhasha is to express yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That I know. Bhasha is express yourself, so you can interact with other people and you can express what is in your mind, what you want to tell somebody. That's it.
Great. So, yeah, I will come to that. So, I think for the raising hands, I'm not sure. Can anybody else, do they know, attendee,
It's
how
not
to raise the hand?
raise hand is only on Zoom. I have not seen
It's there. It's there in the reactions. You can see the option to raise hand.
There is a symbol.
Hari Om.
There are 6 reactions you can give: raise hand, like, dislike, laugh, encourage, agree. So one of it is raise hand. For this, I think we need to download that particular app.
Okay, so it may be on the app. Okay, anyway, no problem. Yeah, so anybody else would like to add? What's the language?
The language enables us, to think without language. If you, like the other woman said, when you come and you can't see the sun, you don't know what it is until you sort of name it. And through that naming process in the object, subject process, we can think.
And Mahoda, everybody has the ability to express themselves. Birds, animals, and even fishes also have a voice. Though we cannot understand that, but for that we have to be Kanva Rishi, so understand birds' language. Dharyavada.
Great. So, anyone else?
We need language not only to communicate.
Hold on. Geeta Bhagini, I'm going to mute your line. Just to see if that reduces the noise. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Nirmala Bhagini, you want?
It's a lot of noise.
We need language. We need language not only to communicate, but to learn about nature, universe, our life, etc.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Joy? All right. So generally the concept of language is that we need it. It is there so Petra initially stated that it developed the language, the development phase. She stated the development phase of the language, how the language developed in a nutshell, that initially when men gathered together, then they wanted to, in a group, they wanted to express what they want to say or to refer to an object, different things they see in the nature, etc., or what they want to do. So they have to call some object with some name. So that's how the language developed. And also the language is a means of communication or expressing ourselves to others. And Uma also said that without language it's difficult to think, or we cannot think. With language it helps us to think better and also express ourselves to others. Also, Ketaki Bhagini brought out an important thing, that not only humans, there are other animals, or could be the trees also, we don't know. So they also have some kind of mechanism to express themselves. So whether we want to call it language, it could be language. It could be like, for example, if we look at
a lot of background noise.
I'm going to put them in lecture mode. Okay. So we're talking about the other non-humans to being able to express themselves. We see in the nature that not only humans, at least other animals like apes, monkeys, dogs, etc. also, they have some kind of mechanism to express their feelings or expressions. It could be it may not be a vocal language or like a human language that what we regularly use, we're used to, but it could be like a sign language. So we also many times the humans who cannot talk or hear, we are also used to sign language. Now we also use sign language, which equally is with that sign language also, it is equally powerful. The expressions can be expressed, whatever the thoughts can be expressed, as well as good as the vocal language, right? So these other animals, they have kind of their own sign language. Either it could be sound based, or it could be just science based. So some of it is well studied. For example, in the primates like monkeys and apes, and also some of the birds, how they communicate between themselves regarding different things like the availability of the food, etc. They communicate with each other. So those are kind of well studied, and we know that they also have some kind of language. So, but now the development of human language is itself a topic of research and debate also. Like Petra was saying that as the humans, they developed from in different stages or phases, so they developed this language to refer to different objects. That was one thing. But there are other people, other researchers who do not completely agree with that kind of evolutionary theory. Some assume that this language is something came from divine, so it's a gift of divinity, or something came from outside. Divinity doesn't need to be like something spiritual or something, but it could be some alien gift, somebody from outside world, not on this planet. They taught us the language. How it diversed or into different varieties is a different question. Nobody knows right now for sure. So, however, so the main thing is that with language, with sound-based language, so we are codifying our thoughts, right? So, hope that makes sense, and what I'm saying makes sense, and most of you agree with it. So, without this language, without either the sign language or the sound-based language, it is difficult to express ourselves. How do we express? So, basically, if I'm, so say, drinking some coffee. If I'm drinking some coffee and I want to tell my friend how it tastes like, or what is the color of the coffee. So what I'm going to say, the best way the other person can experience is that by experience only. The best way to communicate is that ask the person to drink the coffee, or look at the coffee, or look at the thing, whatever I want to describe, and then have the first-hand experience, so that there is no need of other expression or other language. I don't have to describe it in words or any other sign language, something like that. So that is the ideal, or that is the perfect way of doing it, so that the other person exactly knows how it tastes like or how it looks like. However, in the world it is not possible. So everything cannot be experienced by everybody. So we resort to this kind of coding. So some people are calling this language as a coding technique. Obviously, it's a coding communication type of coding, the communication or the expressions. So we transform our expressions into some kind of codes. Right? Code means it's a different kind of symbols. I'm not talking about, this is not about writing again. Symbols means it is again a language only, talk or sign language. So since we are talking about this pronunciation, let's confine ourselves to the sound-based communication. So we put those into codes, different symbols of sounds, and then transmit it to the other person. Now, anything whatever is codified, anything which is codified, that is susceptible to corruption, right? There is some kind of loss of information in it. For example, when I take the example of this coffee only, when I want the other person to describe how the coffee tastes like, so I'm going to say it tastes like a bitter, or it tastes sweet, or it tastes like something else, like a chocolate or something. If I'm going to say, that is not 100% accurate, right, all the time. So anything. So there are other ways of communications also, not only this sound-based language or the vocal language. So take it like the writing. Writing is the next form of communication after this talking, after the speech. So that is even more susceptible to the loss of information there, because while talking, what all we include? This talking communication or the speech communication, when it is codified, the expressions are communicated through this language or the speech. So what all we include in that? We include the words, and also we include the emotions there, like the tones. So we say, so that indicates some kind of so what is in my mind, or how I feel about something. If suppose I say come here or come here, so that could indicate whether I am stern or whether I am requesting, whether I am pleading. So all those kind of different shades of what is going on in my mind, or how I want to put it across, those are better expressed through the speech. Whereas it comes to the writing, then that is even more difficult or challenging to put those kind of expressions into the writing format. So that is even more susceptible for information loss. So anyway, so the language used to express ourselves and put our expressions into some kind of codes. So that is the fundamental concept, that what can be summarized out of all this discussion. Now again, it's a vast topic. Keep on talking and discussing about this. So now there are a lot of languages in the world, and we are talking about the Sanskritam as a language, which puts this pronunciation a very high importance, and for a reason, because it is first of all, the language itself is phonetic, means it is sound based. It is sound based. Now, question is, what is a sound, right? What is a sound? How do we understand, or what do we understand by sound? This word sound. Now there are, as we just discussed, different animals also make sound, and also in the universe there are sounds. There is a sound of rain, there is a sound of different musical instruments, and there is a sound of water, sound of thunder. So lots of sounds are there. So now there is that kind of sound also, and then there is a certain kind of sound which fits into a language. Different languages have different sets of sounds, and by combining and permutations and combinations of those certain sets of sounds only makes up the words. Right? So there are two kinds of sounds. One which is called dhvani. So I'm coming to the some technical words now. Dhvani or a shabda. So let me write it here. So dhvani or shabda.
Mahodaya, I can't see your screen.
Screen should be visible. I think. Is anybody having problem seeing the screen?
No, we can see it.
It is visible.
All right, thank you.
I think I should, Vivekananda here, I think I should log out and log in back again.
Yeah, please try that. Yeah.
Thank you.
But anyway, it's not necessary to see the screen. If you can hear me, that's fine. Dhvani, which I'm writing in the English letters here. Dhvani or shabda is just a generic sound. There is a lot of different kinds of sounds in the universe. Whereas certain sets of sounds, especially coming to this the Sanskritam language, the syllable is called varna. Not a syllable. This is the actual an alphabet. You can correspond. This is the alphabet name may not actually convey the meaning of varna. Varna is a certain sound produced by human using a certain position in the mouth. That's a varna. And there is another term called akshara also. Akshara, you can say it's similar to a syllable. A syllable is an akshara. Whereas a varna, we'll come to this, we'll look at this in detail a little bit later. But the main thing here is to distinguish between a sound and a varna or akshara. So, a sound or a shabda or a dhvani, is anything, any sound in the nature can be found. Whereas a varna or an akshara is specific to a sound which forms part of the language, using which words in the languages are made of. That is a varna. And akshara is a syllable. So difference between varna and akshara we'll see in a bit. Okay. A question like from the last week's what we discussed. What is did anybody find out what is shiksha in the dictionary? If anybody found out, please unmute it and you can talk. Shiksha.
Shiksha, Mahoday. Shiksha is our Vedas, one anga. So they shows us how to pronounce each word, so we can understand and we can read Vedas.
Right. Okay. Yeah, Vivekananda Mahoday, you saying something?
Yeah. Shiksha, is the actual method of pronouncing the sound. And Panini has given us sutra as to the organ of speech, how these akshara are supposed to be pronounced. And when we come to Sandhi, as Pani said, we have to pronounce this word in a uniform way. Hari Om.
Yeah. So basically, Shiksha is the way or the science of pronunciation. Okay. Anybody else? Shiva? You okay?
Yes, I was going to say the science of pronunciation, and it's a means of instruction of pronouncing the letters or the order of the letters.
Yeah. So it's the order of the letters or the science of pronunciation. And Ketika Begini was saying that it's one of the angas of Veda. So what is this anga of Veda? We'll see. So the Vedangas, see the Sanskritam language and anything, and most of the things like even our, not only the scriptures like the Mahabharata, Ramayanam, Bhagavad Gita, which is part of Mahabharatam, and there are a lot of other works in Sanskritam, like this. If you take this Yoga Shastram or the Yoga Darshana or Nyaya Shastram and Mimamsa Shastram, Mimamsa Darshanam, etc., and including the Natya Shastram, Kavya Shastram, etc., all those different areas of study. So they mostly are based actually on Vedas. No, Vedas themselves, what are they? No. Why are we looking at this Vedas quickly? Because the Shiksha, as Bhagini mentioned, Shiksha, this branch of study of pronunciation, is considered to be one of the Vedangas. What is a Vedanga? Veda, I write that in the transliteration fashion. Try to this uppercase A denotes a sound. Vedanga. Now Vedanga means it's the branch of Veda. Vedasya anga. Anga means limb or branch. You can think of a branch or limb. Veda, it's a limb or a branch of Veda, or the supplementary branch of Veda. It's not a part of Veda, but it supports. It's a supplementary branch of Veda. Vedanga. So why is it called Vedanga? The Shiksha is the part of Veda, part of Vedanga. There are 6 Vedangas, which I think it's one of my slides here. Yeah. So here, let me read this. Chandha padau tu vedasya hastau kalpotha pathyate jyotishamayanam chakshur niruktam shrotram uchyate shiksha ghranam tu vedasya mukham vyakaranam smrutam tasmat sangam adhityaiva brahmaloke mahiyate. So this enumerates 6 supplementary branches or Vedangas. So what are they? So it's saying Chandaha, that is Chandas, is one of the Vedangas, and then there are 6. This is one of them, and then there is Chandaha, and then there is Kalpa. There is Kalpa here. Kalpa is another one. And then there is Jyotish. Okay. Jyotish, there is another one. Then Niruktam. number 4, and Shiksha and Vyakarana. So we have Chandas, right? Chandas, then there is Kalpa, third Jyotish, and there is fourth Nirukta, and 5 Shiksha, and 6 Vyakaranam. So these are the 6, these are called 6 Vedangas, or limbs or branches supplementing the study of Vedas. Now what is Veda? Just in a summary, what is a Veda? Anybody?
Veda is not Rishi's internal knowledge. Whatever they found with the meditation, they express to that student. That is a Veda. One way you can call Veda is a Devavani. So when you meditate so much, very intensely, and whatever you get from your knowledge, that is Veda. I think that.
Yeah. Good. Great definition. Anybody?
Is it the oldest known?
Yes, sir.
Kapta Mahoday?
Yeah. I think Veda is describing our human dharma and other moksha and all. That's what I found out from a dictionary. It is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Veda is describing all this. That's what I found from dictionary.
Yes, yeah.
Hari Om Mahodaya.
Yeah, my thought is Vedam is Vaidam, which means this is how it will happen. It describes basically all aspects of life.
Vivekananda Mahoday?
Hari Om Mahodaya. All the answers we have so far is wrong. Because Veda came from the Creator. That consciousness, the supreme consciousness, and that was revealed. The supreme consciousness was revealed to us. Like in Gita chapter 4, Vivasan and whatsoever, he was giving all these things concerning the Gita to Surya.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Lakshmikanta Mahoday, you have raised your hand. No? Okay.
Oh, I raised my hand. It's Uma.
Hello?
I tried to. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I thought perhaps it was the oldest scriptures that had been written, and some were even written on leaves, I heard. Not sure.
Yeah, yeah, great. Thank you. So,
it wasn't written. It was revealed. It was revealed. It was given to the supreme Creator of the universe. It was revealed to us. It's not man-made written thing. That's like the whatsoever, like the 10 Commandments when Moses went to the whatsoever the hills there. And the 10 Commandments was given by Jehovah according to the Jews, according to the Jewish system.
Yeah.
Mahodaya, there's something called Smriti and Shruti. In the seat of meditation, the rishis, that knowledge that what they got was revealed in the form of Vedas.
Yeah. So yeah, so please everybody note that. So during this course we will be touching this. Though this is we are supposed to study just the pronunciation and just alphabets, letters, and get done with it. But I just want to give a deeper background context about this. However, while doing this, we are going to come across, or at least touch upon, at least lightly upon, certain things which are metaphysical in nature. And when we get into that kind of discussion, so there will be different opinions, different thoughts. So everybody has their own thoughts, which are, everybody is welcome. There is nothing wrong or right. So this is just a discussion. So, but for example, what is sound? What is how the sound originates? How the speech originates? These are all. There is no right or wrong answer, and because these are all hidden long back in the times, so we don't know what happened and how it originated. So similarly, when it comes to,
I had one point. Ram Prasad here, Guruji. Probably from the Sanskrit point of view, basically I would say Veda is nothing but knowledge or wisdom.
Yes, exactly. So people who have studied Vedas, they have different perspective. People who have not studied but who knows, they have different perspective. But everything is right. So main thing is to know here what Ram Prasad Modi was saying, that Veda.
Hari Om Mahodaya. This course is dealing with phonetics. Phonetics is the method of pronunciation of words. We have the same thing in the English language. If you go to Oxford University or Cambridge or Eton College, they have different way of pronouncing words. If you go to Scotland, the same English you use, but they pronounce it differently. If you go to Yorkshire, they pronounce it differently. If you come to London, where I live, it differently. But Panini has codified the language, and he given us how to pronounce this word. For example, he said, Ako ha visargajayam kanta. So all is written there for one to apply that. Thank you.
Correct. I agree. So what I'm saying is, so how this Shiksha will come to Panini a little bit later. So this Shiksha is one of the Vedangas. Why it's so important? So why is it, Veda is considered repository of knowledge. So Vedayati iti Vedaha. Just a simple Niruktam or the etymology is Vedayati. And obviously, any word in Sanskritam has multiple etymologies, multiple origin, how it originates. So one of them is Vedayati iti Vedaha. Vedayati means it makes us to understand. Now, what it makes to understand is a vast, debatable topics. Everybody can have their own understanding. Whether it makes us to understand ourselves, whether it makes us to understand a supreme God or supreme water power, whatever you call it. So that's up to us how we want to interpret it. However, so we will not get into that discussion right now. But Vedayati Vedaha, so Veda, which makes us to understand. Now, what it makes to understand, again, it's left to us. Now, considering the Vedas as the highest knowledge repositories in this culture here called Sanatana Dharma, now why is it this Shiksha, just a simple pronunciation, is given such an importance as a Vedanga? If you look at other Vedangas, there are 6 Vedangas which we saw. What were they? One of them was Chandas. So Chandas is a prosody or the meter. So Chandas is a prosody or the meter, how this Veda mantras are written. So they have written in certain rhythm, certain number of letters in a particular verse. So they differ. Okay? So in some of the, starting from Gayatri meter. So Gayatri, if you know Gayatri mantra, so each pada or each part, it has 8 letters. So total 24 letters or 24 syllables actually. So, and there are like 24, 28, 32, 36. So there are different number of syllables in a verse. So that is chandas. So how the one of them is chandas, that is a meter, and then that is one of the Vedangas. Then there is a kalpa. Kalpa is rituals. How for example, a sacrifice or a mantra or a sacrifice or a way or the performance or how to do a sacrifice of Agni or the gods, that is described by kalpa. There are different types of kalpas or different ways, different how to do. There are different kalpas are also available in to support this, how to do this. The different activities described in the Vedas. And then there is Jyotish. Jyotish describes about the time. What is the right time to do a particular sacrifice or particular activity which is given in the Vedas. That is Jyotish. Then the Niruktam is etymology. Etymology is also one of the Vedangas, important branches, how the word originated. So if we know the origin of the word, then we know the correct meaning of the word. Because without knowing the meaning of the word or the mantra there or the verse in a Veda, it is difficult or it becomes useless. Because for one word there could be multiple meanings. And to know the right meaning is important. So for that, knowing Nirukta or the etymology, the origin of the word is also important. For example, if we take Agni, the first word of the Rigveda is Agni. Agni mire purohitam. So what is Agni here? What is the meaning of Agni? This is just some sample here.
Fire.
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 Yes. Anybody else?
Which purifies.
Yeah, which purifies. Right. So Agni mire purohitam. Here the meaning states that we are Agnim ire. So I. It starts with Agni. I respect or I pay homage to Agni. So this Agni word, again, it's open for interpretation. What is Agni? So Agni is a fire. It is a simple meaning, simple straightforward meaning, which we know everywhere that we use. Agni word means fire, Agni. But now, is it just the Veda started with the praising Agni? That is the question. Now, there is no right or wrong answer again. Please note that. There is no right or wrong answer. The interpretation, human interpretation is wide open. Anybody can interpret anything and they are free to do that. And that's how it is to be done actually. So, but here the Agni, yes, Agni is a fire. Agni means fire in our everyday word. But what is the etymology of Agni? Agni. So here Agni means it is formed of 3 syllables, right? Agana. So that brings up interesting etymologies. So what is the meaning of the word? One is that ga means usually ga is referred to something which moves in the something which moves, ga. Yeah? If you look at the meaning of the syllable ga. So Based on that only we have the Sanskrit verb called gacchati, means goes, right? Or even gauhu. Gauhu means cow. Cow means what? One which goes. Or gauhu is also used for Vedas also. Or even it is used for earth also. So gau itself, the gau, I'm talking about gau now. Gau, the word gau itself has multiple meanings. Gau means Vedas, gau means this earth. Thing that moves. Now, which is coming before ga, which negates it, which is not moving, is ga. So sometimes the aga is also referring to the mountains because they don't move, aga. But that is another meaning of aga. But something which is stationary, which does not move, is aga. And na means nayati, which carries, which takes it forward. That is adding that na. That na indicates which something get at na. So when we combine this together, agana means something which moves or carries forward another object which is stationary, which doesn't move. So this Agni, which is fire, how does it carry something which doesn't move? So yes, it does carry something which doesn't move. So it could be an Agni so there are other, what it carries as a fire, what it carries which it doesn't move, that is again a different topic. But here it could also mean to something else other than fire, which carries forward, which doesn't move. So what does that mean? It could be referring to something supreme power, right? Just not the ordinary fire. So supreme power, not just the ordinary fire which we see every day. Yes, within the fire also we can assume that there is a supreme power which ignites the power in the fire itself, which is the supreme power which pervades everywhere. So that kind of concept is also there. So what we can assume that the Agni, the Rigveda is starting with the prayer of just not the ordinary fire. So if some of the scholars which study the Vedas from outside point of view, from just a literary point of view, they start by saying that yes, Agni is the Rigveda starts. The Rigveda is the first Veda. So Veda itself starts with praising the Agni, and there are also other words like other phrases, other verses in Vedas like praising of Agni, fire, praising of rain, praising of clouds, etc. So that is just how this mankind or the humans started looking at the different natural forces in the universe. So they were fearfully, they started praising them. They looked at Agni or the fire, they found the use of it, and they said, okay, let's praise it. They looked at the rain, which is powerful, which gives them the produce and the things to eat. So that was one of the praises. So that is one way of looking at it. But coming on the other side, looking at how the Vedas, they always refer to the supreme power. So people looking from that perspective, from that angle, they interpret it like Agni, one which carries forward something, the object which cannot move, and which cannot move, which doesn't move in the universe is everything else other than supreme power itself. Without the supreme power, anything else doesn't have its own independent strength or the power. So that is a different perspective. So if we have the niruktam or the etymological background of a word, then the words can be interpreted in different ways. Now, different schools of thoughts, this nirukta is a double-edged sword, you can say. So different schools of thought, they have their own interpretations, because interpretation is also not like a singular interpretation. So there are multiple interpretations possible. Like for example, Agni also, there are multiple interpretations possible. So it depends. And then depending on your school of thought, you follow that interpretation. That's fine. So, but the niruktam is important there. So just by listening to a word, Agni, just by thinking that it has just ordinary meaning, is not going to give a deeper understanding of what is being said there. Because basically, mostly in this Vedas, most of these words, they have a different kind of meaning. They are just ordinary meaning. For example, if you take Varaha, so Agni is one of the examples. If you take Varaha, what is Varaha? Many of you have heard this Varaha, right? Words.
Animal. It's an animal.
Yes.
It's a boar.
A boar.
Boar.
Yeah. Because we know it by this Varaha Avatara. There was one incarnation of Lord, Supreme Being, that Varaha Avatara, and also Varaha is generally referred to as a boar or a pig. However, in the Vedas, Varaha does not mean boar. It means the Supreme Being. Vara means the Shrestha, right? Vara is which is the best, Vara, or good. So this Varaha is something which is very good, which is best. And Varaha also has a meaning of cloud. It literally means cloud in Vedas. So this boar meaning came later, after this incarnation happened, because he was one of the best Supreme Being who took the incarnation in that form. The Varaha meaning for the boar, as a boar, was attributed to that word later. But originally in the Vedas, if you look, it means cloud actually, cloud which is in the upper state. So there are some verses in Vedas which come with this word Varaha. So we should not go with the everyday what we use, that kind of meaning, with a lot of words here. So the niruktam is important there, one of the one. Then we have the last one we have is Vyakaranam, grammar. Because we have to know, to understand the Vedas, Vyakaranam means what is the right word, or the right form of the word, whether it's the right way to use the word or not, that is a word. Grammar deals with the word form. So this is important. But many of these, though these are called the limbs of Vedas, they are not limited to the periphery of Vedas, right? They have the Vyakarana, for example, the Vyakaranam has come into our everyday languages also. So Vedas, the language of the Vedas, or the Veda, how the language is used, is a little bit different than how we use it every day. Yeah. However, these 6 limbs of Vedas, now all of them are not literally limited to the Vedas only. For example, if you take Chandas, the prosody has developed into a lot of other, there are only few Chandas or the prosodies of the meters used in Vedas. But if you come to this actual different poems and different parts, different literary works in the Sanskritam, there are many more meters which are used, which are developed based on those prosodies or the meters which are used in the Vedas. So they have been adopted, they have come into the everyday usage also. And kalpa rituals, they are mostly restricted to Vedas, and how to construct, how to build the sacrificial spear and the yajna vedika, etc. Then Jyotisha, obviously it was originally meant for when to perform those yajna and yagas, etc. But now it has come into the everyday usage also. And then there is a niruktam, obviously we use it, it's very useful for any kind of word also. And there is a Vyakaranam, grammar, which is very important basic fundamentals of Sanskritam language itself, not only in Vedas. Now, what about Shiksha now? Shiksha is a pronunciation. Pronunciation is important in everyday Sanskritam language. However, even the Veda also makes it as one of the Vedangas. Why is it so important? Pronunciation is so important because if we change the pronunciation or if we change the sound of one particular syllable or an alphabet, then the meaning changes. In everyday usage, that might be somewhat tolerable, somewhat okay, because okay, we understand what you are saying. Even if I say Siksha instead of Shiksha, it's okay. Most of us, okay, you will pardon me. But however, in Vedas, that is not tolerable. While pronouncing Vedas, that is not tolerable because because we are invoking some of these supreme powers, and we are addressing or we are praising, we are describing their nature, their characteristics. So it is not okay to pronounce even a single syllable in a different way, because if we change even a single syllable or even a tone of the syllable, there are also tones also, so the meaning changes. So for example, if, as I said before, if I change my tone, come here, like that, so the tone is different. So that means, are we stern towards addressing somebody, or are we abusing somebody, or are we requesting somebody? So the total meaning changes, and the perception of the one who is listening to that speech also makes it understands it differently. Right? So in this Shiksha is very, very important. That's why, at least in those olden times, when somebody is a new student attaining the age of 8 or 10, so when they had started this study, the study in those times means they have to study Vedas only. Study Vedas, so they have to start with the first step is Shiksha. So here different Vedangas, 6 parts of the 6 6 limbs of these Vedas, what are called, they have given different metaphorical the parts of a body kind of comparison are given here, simile. So Chandaha Padav means the what is Padav? Padav means the feet. Chandaha, Chandas or the meter, they are the feet of the Veda. That's how it is described here. And Kalpa means the procedures, how to prepare or how to perform the activities specified. They are the Hasta means hands, because obviously with the hands only something is performed mainly. So that is why this Kalpa branch is compared to Hasta, whereas Chanda or the meters is compared to the feet, on which the feet is the support, right? Support is the supporting structure. So Chanda prosody is the meter, stands in that position, supporting the Vedas. And then Jyotish Ayanam Chakshu, Jyotisham Ayanam Chakshu. Chakshu is the
Eye.
Eyes. So Jyotish is called eyes here. So Jyotish is compared to eyes because obviously Jyotish is this science of Jyotish is depending on the different bodies which are in the sky.
Drashti, Mahoday, Chakshu is a Drashti?
Yeah, Drashti, yeah. Netram, Chakshu, eyes. And then there is Shrotram Niruktam. Niruktam is, the etymology is compared to Shrotra or ears here. Karanam, Karana or ears. And there is Shiksha Ghanam to Vedasya Mukham Vyakaranam. Vyakaranam, grammar is compared to Mukham. Mukham is the mouth, because the Vyakarana refers to the formation of the words, which is apt for the position is comparison for the mouth here. And that is Shiksha Ghanam. Shiksha is compared to Ghanam or the Natika or the nose here. Shiksha branch is compared to nose. With nose, we what do? We smell. Now, this Ghanam, Nasika is the important part. It is also used not only smelling, it is also for breathing also. So it is as important as a breathing organ, using which we take in the air and breathe out the air. So it is as important. And in some sense, instead of Ghanam, it is should be actually Pranam. Okay? Pranam is the soul itself. Pranam is one of the important strength of the mute, please mute your line. Okay. So Shiksha, Ghanam is Nasika or the nose, and sometimes it is also called Pranam. Pranam is that underlying the strength or the power of the soul itself, the Shiksha. So Shiksha has been placed at a very important position here. So that is the important Shiksha. So new students starting with the Shiksha first. So to get the pronunciation, clarity in the pronunciation first. That is the first step of any new student.
What is Kalpa?
Kalpa is the Hasta. Yeah.
Hasta. Okay.
Hasta is like something we want to perform with, right? Perform with the Hasta.
Sir, Jyotisha is one among the Vedanga, but Jyotisha doesn't have any direct relationship with the language. Is it, sir?
No, not language. These are Vedas.
No, see, other things, how we use the language, or how is the all guidelines are given in other things. But in the Jyotisha is something like that. It doesn't have any.
No, not even Kalpa also, right? Kalpa is just the procedure to perform some activity in of Veda, right? Some yaga or yajna. Right? Kalpa is also not the language, right? Not every, all the branches are not relating to language.
No, I am saying about Jyotisha, sir.
Yeah. So?
What is the Sanskrit meaning of Veda?
Yeah, Jyotihi means something lit, right? Lit body. Jyotish, light. Karta Mohoday, what is the question?
So it shows that Mahoday. So Jyotish means it gives you light, how to perform or how to go in your life ahead. Who believes that?
No, yeah, Jyotish is the when to kala, time. What is a good time to perform?
Yes.
Some activity. And Kalpa is how to perform, procedure.
I wanted to know what is the Sanskrit meaning of Veda.
Sanskrit meaning of Veda, one meaning I said, Vedayati. Vedayati.
Means?
There is a verb in Sanskrit called veti. Veti. I'm writing it in Devanagari here, but I will write here in English also. Veti. Veti means understands, knows. Veti. Now Vedayati means one which makes you to understand. Like some of you might have already studied this in your L1 class, right? One is Chalati, Chalayati. Chalati means one which walks. Chalayati means one which makes you to walk or to move. Chalati means something which moves, something walking, something moving. Chalayati, one which makes something else to move or so similarly Veti Veti means understand, means Saha Veti, he understands. Vedayati means one which makes someone else to understand. Is that the question? Is that what you are asking for?
Mahoday, Dhanyavada, I have to go. Kshamata.
Sure, thank you. Lakshmi Kantamodi also muted, fine.
No, I had muted. I understood what is Veda.
Okay, thank you. Six. With this basic introduction, so I think we are ready to start with getting into the how to pronounce or what are the different sounds in this Sanskritam language. We can start getting into it. So I'll take like a 10 seconds break. Anybody has any questions? So far? No, okay. Now, let me one more clarification here. So, do you see my screen? On my screen here, the slide, course outline, introduction.
Yes,
yeah. What is this language? What is this language I have written here?
Yes. Okay.
What is this language? Introduction.
Is it English?
English. Okay. And this is English. And what is this language? Varanachal.
This is transliteration of Sanskrit or Hindi.
Okay, but the language is Sanskrit, right?
Yes. Language is Sanskrit.
And this one, Maheshwara.
This is again Sanskrit.
Okay.
Maheshwara Sutrani.
Sutra. So this is Sanskritam. This is Sanskritam language, whereas this is English language. Now coming to this one, what is this language?
Sanskrit.
Okay. And here, what is this language?
Modern Sanskrit and English.
Translation.
Okay, this is transliteration, but what I wanted to highlight here is the language is different than the script. Right? The language is different. The language, when I say, what is this, you are saying this is Sanskritam. Yeah, maybe it is transliteration. This is Sanskritam, whereas this is English. But here the symbols of the script we are using is different. Here we are using what is called the Roman script nowadays, which is used for English, writing English. So the Roman script or the English script, we can just, for clarity will say, or simplicity will say, English script. Though I am using English script, this is, you understand this is not an English word, but this is this is Sanskritam word. This is the word in Sanskritam. So similarly here, though I have written this in Devanagari script, but this is a Sanskritam language, and this is also Sanskritam language, though the letters are used, the script are used is the English script here. So the script is different, whereas the language is different. So literally that means I can use any script to write any language. So I can use, I don't know how the Chinese is written exactly, but Chinese or Japanese, any script I can write, if in my own script or in English script. So similarly vice versa. So one should be clear about this.
Sanjeev, you should mute everybody.
Yeah, I just muted Petra. There's some dog barking. All right. So just this has to be very clear in our mind that the script and the language, that is the speech, the language is the vocal, the codes we use to communicate they are entirely independent. Though nowadays some scripts are strongly associated with certain languages. However, any script can be used to write any language. So the script is just a symbol. Right? It's just a symbol. It's just a scratch. It's just a written representation of speech, of language. So this should be very clear in our mind. So when we generally think of Sanskritam, so generally the Devanagari, if it is written in Devanagari, then it means that comes into our mind, most of us, not all of us, but most of us, something we look at such a writing, that means we think that it must be Sanskrit or it is something related with Sanskritam, which is not the case. But because Sanskritam itself did not have its own script as far as we know. It actually, we don't actually really know for thousands of years what script was used, whether actually the Sanskritam was written. Some say that Sanskritam was not written at all, everything was only verbal. So it was all the knowledge including the Vedas, including the Vyakaranam, including the Shiksha, including other texts and everything, it was passed verbally, orally, from generation to generation. That is one way up. But there are other things. Slowly, there are some manuscripts which are found, which are written on some kind of leaves, long back, like many thousands of years back. But those are in a different script. They are not in the script which is called Devanagari today. They are not in that script. They are in a different script. And obviously this one which is found in Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, that kind of civilization, that valley. So there are some inscriptions found. Many of them are not even, we don't know what they are. So, so some of them, they say they were some kind of Sanskrit writing that time. However, so for sure we don't know. So so far we know that the Sanskritam writing, when what we have found long back, the oldest one was like Brahmi, something called Brahmi Lipi, Brahmi script. Okay, Brahmi script, and that evolved into the current Devanagari or something like that. So then there was something called Nagari script, and then there is also Nandanagari, then there is also Devanagari. So there are different scripts evolved. This is the history of the Devanagari script. This is not the history of the Sanskritam script, because Sanskritam did not have a script, and today also it doesn't have a certain script associated with it. So generally we are using Devanagari because it is convenient. But even today, and since many years back also, so there are many Sanskrit books, Sanskrit texts which are printed, which are written, not only handwritten but also printed in different other scripts, including the transcription what you see here in the Roman script, which is different, like somebody is calling IAST, Harvard. There are different transcription mechanisms or the styles are available which use Roman script to transcript the Sanskrit word. However, within the Indian languages only, this Sanskritam was written. Sanskrit language books were written using many other languages, many other scripts of other languages. For example, they were written in using Telugu script also, Gujarati script also, Hindi in Devanagari only, and then there are Kannada script also, there may be Tamil also, Telugu, this one. All other languages also were used and are being used today also. They are equally good, because one thing is that because it is phonetic, sound based, these other scripts of Indian origin, like what I said, like Telugu, Tamil and all these, Kannada and all these are also those scripts are also phonetic, so they work well with the Sanskritam language. So we can easily write Sanskritam using one of those scripts. There is no problem at all. So there are many methods of writing Sanskritam. So Sanskritam doesn't have its own script, but just for convenience, for just make it a standard kind of thing, to some standard, Devanagari can be used. However, there is no problem in using other scripts also. Any question here?
Meaning of some capital and some small letters when we are writing in English.
Where here?
Brahmi or here, Chanda.
Yeah, Brahmi I should have written it like, no, when I'm writing it by hand I'm a bit loose here because it should be like this. But the one you see here follows a certain style of transcription using the Roman letters. I think this is called I can send you that later. The information, what is caps and what is small, you can find the convention.
And just out of curiosity, I want to know, like in the past, Sanskrit would be written in what script? Like in the Pandulipis or manuscript? Do we found in all these different, different lipis?
Yes. Manuscripts are being found in all the different kinds of lipis.
Okay.
In southern India, they are found in different lipis, local lipis, local scripts, and Pandulipis are also available. Brahmi Lipi is also available, and even the one I mentioned, Nandanagari. This is something slightly prior to Devanagari. Nagari was there, then the Nandanagari came. That bit evolved, a different style of it. Even the Nandanagari has been found in some parts of Karnataka.
Okay.
We don't. Before that, we don't know like exactly how Panini was it written actually. Yeah. Personally, I might think yes, there might have been some kind of writing somewhere, right? Even in ancient times, like even Mahabharata kind of times. But we don't know those original, like how what Vyasa Maharshi wrote, maybe what Vyasa Maharshi dictated to Ganapati, some belief. So how he wrote, we don't know.
We don't know. Okay.
And that may not be, that doesn't need to be today's Devanagari, what we see.
Yes.
Obviously it was not, because what we saw, all the old ones, they are like Brahmi or this Nandanagari, etc.
I'm curious to know why the foreigners want to learn Sanskrit.
Hari Om Hodaya.
Yeah, jump in.
Vivekananda. When Panini codified a language at that particular time, with Katyayana and all those grammarian, what was the script at that particular time? Do you have any idea?
No, I have no idea. What was the script at that time? No idea. That was like what scholars have guessed. The time of Panini is about 6th century BC. So don't know. And we have not found any kind of writing from that era, from that time.
And one more. In currently, like Sanskrit is being taught in the like say in south of India also. So are they not using the Devanagari lipi for that, or they are using the local lipis like Telugu, Tamil, Kannada? Just curiosity.
I'm not sure if anybody else knows this answer. Please, you can jump in. When I had studied like
Guruji, I can
40 years back, maybe 40 years back, like.
So when we have
Guruji, I can answer this Ramprasad here.
Yeah.
Just to answer your question, actually, if you see, we take Kannada, Telugu, even Malayalam, for example, in particularly South India, majority are derived out of Sanskrit also. That means to say, for example, Guruji mentioned about Sandhis. In the another slide, he mentioned Sandhis. Yeah. So if you see the way the words are split in Sanskrit, the way words are split in Telugu and Kannada and Malayalam, they are all very, very similar. So that's how it will be pretty easy for people who know Kannada, Telugu and Malayalam. Learning Sanskrit becomes a bit easier compared to Tamil. Tamil by it's a totally independent language. So that's where the challenge comes for Tamil.
I think his question was about writing, right, Prahlad Modi?
Yes. Writing.
Writing it's Kannada. You can write exactly Sanskrit in Kannada very easily.
So Ken is okay, but how is right now those from Kannada or Malayalam, they are learning Sanskrit. So are they learning with Malayalam and Kannada script or Devanagari script?
No. I am, for example, I do chant Narayaniam, for example, which is 100 Dashakas are there, which is in actually Sanskrit by Narayana Bhattatari, but I learn it in Kannada.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, thank you. You, Sanjeev, sir, you were saying something. You studied 45 years, something.
So there are two things what Ram Prasad Mohan mentioned. Suresh Moday, do you want to add anything quickly?
Yeah, so when I am studying here, I use both the Devanagari script as well as Telugu. I have Sanskritam books that are written with Telugu script as well as the Abhyasa Pustakam that is actually in Sanskritam. So it's a combination that actually makes it easy for learning, because instead of using the English or the Roman script, if you use one of these scripts, the understanding and the pronunciation is a lot easier.
So Telugu and Sanskrit both are equally comfortable, and like English. If we see English translation, that is not very good, easy to read. You cannot read exact same pranas, mahapranas, or like that. But in Telugu and English, Sanskrit, it won't be different. Just
in Telugu. So what happens is in Telugu, English, Telugu, Hindi, Sanskritam, Malayalam, Kannada, each akshara or varna has a very definite sound, and then that does not change when you associate with other varnas. For example, in English, when you put a C and H, He becomes a Cha. But in Sanskritam, once you know the Varna, the sound of the Varna, no matter how many mix and match you do, the Varna sound doesn't change. I think that's what we are anyway going to learn.
Yeah, thank you.
Actually, just to add what Lakshmikant Mahadev said, if you see, just to give one word, if you take the name Sri Hari, it is very easily pronounced in Telugu, it is very easily pronounced in Malayalam, it is very easily pronounced in Kannada. But if you go to Tamil language, it becomes Sri Gari. So they don't have a word Ha very clearly. So they pronounce it as Ga.
Yeah,
so that issue is not there in these three languages in South.
Good discussion. So just want to wrap up.
Mahodaya, can I say this? For people like me, for the NIL individuals like me in London, it is important for us to understand how the songs are produced by the organ of speech in Devanagari, and that's why I am taking this course with phonetics, because in English we have people speaking in different parts in England here. They all have a different way of pronouncing word. Yorkshireman, Scotland, wheresoever. So we would like to know how we pronounce word E and whatsoever. The organ of speech, where they're supposed to be. The organ of speech is the tongue. Where it's supposed to be placed to produce this word?
Yeah, that is a subject of this course. Like, that's what we are going to study. So
that's right. Right. This is what I would like to know, because it is very, very important to do that, to be aware as to where, for example, you have people in Bangalore, they say Ru. When I listen to people in Uttar Pradesh, they say Ri. Yeah? There's no Ru in the thing, you see. So you have to know the organ of pronunciation.
Yeah, it's strange.
Thank you.
You brought up this, like in different parts of the world, the same language is pronounced in a different way. Like in Scotland, a different accent, and in India, the English is spoken in a different accent. Yes, that's why the Shiksha comes into picture here, because in pronouncing the Sanskritam words, the positions and how they have to pronounce, they are very well defined. So that's what we are going to start looking at these sounds, because they are very well defined there. So, but just wrapping up, the different, what Prahlad Mahodaya was saying, asking, yes, Mahaprana, Alpaprana, etc. Yes, in different languages, at least within India, they are similar, because the scripts are also phonetic. So even if we change the script, it doesn't matter. Unlike what this Roman script is. Roman script, it's difficult to know what is Mahaprana, Alpaprana. That is why we need this transcription. But there we don't need the transcription, because they are already phonetic scripts they are. So since they are phonetic, so they already have that Mahaprana, Alpaprana, high breath, low breath, they are all built in there. So each letter indicates that. So we don't, that's easy for them. So I was saying that long back when I was studying, yes. Now there are two parts which Suresh Mahodaya mentioned. That one is studying, also Ramaprasad Mahodaya saying, the chanting. So many people who just are learning chanting of some stotra, Bhagavad Gita, etc., they prefer looking at their script, which they are familiar with. Maybe whatever their mother tongue is, that script. That is easy. However, nowadays, people who are studying the Sanskrit as a language, not just the chanting, as a language to understand its grammar, etc., mostly there are books available in their language, in their script also, but mostly the common books are available in the Devanagari script. So they are doing mostly in Devanagari if they are studying the so they're studying Sanskritam as a language from the grammatical point of view, etc. So that makes it much easier to understand the language. Okay, so I wanted to cover something about the vowels today, but I think we don't have time, so we'll continue next week. Right? Thank you everyone.
धन्यवादः महोदय.
महोदय.
धन्यवादः.
नमस्कारः.